Where would you be if you didn't have the persistence that you have?
A lot of people say, well, who's this cocky, arrogant guy saying he's the greatest, right? But I do the work, right? I can't call myself the greatest if I'm not doing the work to be the greatest.
It's not cockiness. I think it's confident.
There's never been a film made like this. When you look at all of these big Hollywood productions, they've never made a film about the security guard.
Welcome back to another episode of Intrepidus Podcast, episode 17, with your hosts, Anthony and Dan. Today we got a special guest, our first ever filmmaker on the show, Wilfred Salle from Salle Productions. Welcome to the show, Will.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you. Tell us, we never had a filmmaker on before. We talked a lot before we started shooting today, and we learned a lot about what you do. So why don't you tell the audience about what you do?
So I am an independent filmmaker. I founded my company in 2019 for the sole purpose of creating a platform where non-known actors can showcase their talents. We've seen so many different actors from all walks of life that get on these big productions and they're simply doing background work, right? And I needed to create a platform where those actors can have the exposure that they need to propel their careers. So that's what Salle Productions was founded on. Fast forward to 2025, I've produced a film every year since 2020, up until now, one every year.
Awesome. So we were talking prior to shooting here, and you overcame a lot of adversity through this. You're on the Intrepidus Podcast. Intrepidus is the Latin word for fearless. How were you fearless through this whole journey that you're still on? But how were you fearless to keep pushing? You've been on different news broadcasts and whatnot, and you were telling us how persistent you were. So maybe you could share a little bit about that.
Right. So I created the film The Security Guard, which is coming out in 2025. But the journey began way before that. One of the main things I wanted to do was bring light to the film. There's never been a film made like this. And so reaching out to different news organizations was something that I found that was going to be challenging, but I had to do it. Now I didn't have a PR person. I am still the PR person, sending over 1,000 emails a day. When I tell you I'm getting rejected more than anything, a lot of people were seeing my wins on social media. You spoke about that in the previous episode, and that's very true. We all post our wins. We all post the fact that we're winning. But I can tell everyone now that I am losing a lot more than I'm winning. I'm failing more than I'm succeeding. But the problem is that people give up. I've learned that rejection is redirection. No means numerous opportunities. Impossible, if you separate the word, means I'm possible. And I continue to just put in the work. A lot of people want public authority, but they don't want private discipline. And that's one of the biggest things I learned, that you, in order to do the work and to want what you have to outwork everyone. There are about 1,000 other people that are doing exactly what I'm doing and want exactly what I want. In order to separate myself, I have to outwork every single one of them. So sending the emails, getting on all these news organizations is a vital piece to success and exposure for the film.
So I've been in business for 25 years. I love what you talk about failure. Failure is inevitable. You are going to fail more than you succeed. My book coming out in 2026 is Failing Your Way Uphill. It talks about life failures, how I use life failures to get to the next step. And you're going to continue to fail and fail and fail and fail, because at the end of the day, that's how you learn. You got to grow through every situation that you're going through life and go through every situation. And you hit it best is that you're not going to quit. You're not going to stop. And most people, when they have that fear and they have that rejection and they fail, they almost feel like it's impossible. I tried. But you are so determined to do exactly what you're doing and deliver it to the marketplace that it's people like you, through your persistence, that win. And it may not happen in 2025. It may not happen in 2026. But when it does happen, you're going to go back and look at all those times. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go on to something next, and you're going to fail some more to go on to the next. But that's just a part of entrepreneurship. And, I take my hat off to you, because that's something that I truly have the heart, because I failed so much in life. And I love to talk about failure on my podcast. I love to talk about failure to people, because failure is inevitable, and people don't understand that. They don't realize what Michael Jordan went through, what every single successful person, Kobe Bryant, all these people in the world went through to be where they are, and the amount of failure they had to take on. But they just had that high IQ, high I quit mentality, and they just went for it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is simply the revolution that I promised everyone. I set out to make a goal for myself, and there was no compromise. I told my wife this. I said, listen, I am going to be the greatest independent filmmaker to ever live, to come out of the Bronx. Why can't that person be me?
I love that.
Why
We
can't
had
he?
him on our podcast.
Yeah. Why can't he? Why does he have to come from LA? Why does he have to come from Oregon? Or why? Why can't he come from right here in New York? And so when I say that, a lot of people say, well, who's this cocky, arrogant guy saying he's the greatest, right? But I do the work, right? I can't call myself the greatest if I'm not doing the work to be the greatest.
But
So
it's not cockiness. I think it's confident. You're confident in yourself. You know your availability to what you can bring to the marketplace, what you're going to bring to the marketplace, and you're confident that you can do it and you're going to do it. And I think most people have a misrepresentation of cocky versus confident, because when somebody set out to do something and they say, listen, I don't give a shit, you get in my way, I'm pushing you out of the way, I'm doing it.
Right.
You know, people think that's cocky, but it's true confidence. And people throughout my entire life have told me I'm cocky. I go, that's because you don't know the difference between cocky and confident.
Yeah, it's like, I forgot who says it, maybe Jadakiss, but he says, I'm not cocky, I'm confident. So when you call me the best, it's a compliment, right?
Yeah.
So that's, it's, if you embody it and then if you say it, is it true that it becomes true? That's the question.
Right, it is.
You believe so, right?
I definitely do.
Let's talk about your film. Let's talk about the security guard, right? That's the name of the film.
Yes.
Coming out in
2025, summer of 2025.
summer of 2025. Will has granted us access to an exclusive quick peek, look at the new trailer. We're going to play it for you guys right now.
I have something to tell you, and I just don't know how to say it.
You can tell me anything.
But sometimes people go away, and they won't come back until another time.
So she's never coming back? Can I say a prayer for Mommy?
Both can't come. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, pray the Lord my soul to take.
We have an active shooter in the building. We have an active shooter in the building right now.
This is hard lockdown. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
Help!
Everyone, follow protocol. Follow protocol.
Ensure all the doors locked and turn all the lights off. Sounded like gunshots.
What?
And I know what I need to become.
What's that, man?
Someone who doesn't wait for God or karma to make things happen.
Whatever you do, don't let the devil out.
Yeah, I know.
Columbine, San Bernardino, Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook. Senator, people are afraid.
Guys, that was an awesome sneak peek to what's coming summer 2025. So, Will, why?
There's never been a film made like this. When you look at all of these big Hollywood productions and all the films that have been made, they've never made a film about the security guard. And I think I said this on Good Day New York, but I'm going to say it again. No one cares about the ordinary man's story, right? When you look at the bodega owner, the postal worker, no one cares because the security guard occupation is deemed unimportant, unskilled, right? When you think of a security guard, what do you think of? A guy sleeping at front of a desk, right?
Yeah.
So why not make that film? It was my duty and obligation to do that. And it was based in Brooklyn in New York because we've never had an active shooter in New York City, thank God. But I wanted to show that as New Yorkers, we have this sense of invincibility that this can't happen here. This happens other places. On the contrary, the audience is going to get a bird's eye view and a front row seat into just how fast and how quick an active shooter can enter any school building here in America. Now, there are a lot of different views when it comes to making this film, and I'm going to get a lot of blowback for it. But I want to reiterate that this film does not go Democrat. It does not go Republican. We explore both sides respectfully with the integrity that they both deserve, but it goes down the middle. And the reason it goes down the middle is because I didn't want to divide the audience. We've already been divided on this issue.
Correct.
The first step to preventing school shootings, right? You have to ask yourself the number one question is, are they preventable? And the answer is yes, but it's going to require a comprehensive approach, a level of compromise. And so I wanted to hear both sides of the political parties, what they agree on, what they disagree on, right? We both agree, if you're looking at it from the middle standpoint, which is where the film goes, is there's a common issue here. Now, on one side, we have the Republicans that are saying, we don't want you infringing on our Second Amendment rights. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Right. Even in the film, there's a reference where the Republican Senator Alex Whitman says, when a car manufacturer, when a drunk driver kills an innocent person, do we blame the car manufacturer? Do we ban the car manufacturer? Or do we ban and arrest the drunk driver? So that was a really big analogy in writing that script. Now, on the other side, you have the Democratic Party, which they're saying we want to ban assault weapons. They're saying guns are solely the issue. They're saying we want mental health checks. We want all these different things. And so there needs to be a middle ground. And that's what I wanted to do. And I knew that this was going to be very controversial, but someone had to make this film. Someone had to tell the story of the students, the kids, because ultimately this is about our children. They're the ones that are left behind, right? We have these active shooters that are coming in constantly. But at the end of the story, when the next story kicks in for the news media, who's left behind? It's forgotten about, and the next story comes to the forefront. And so it was important to me to really touch on this subject and to make a film about it, to unite people, not divide them.
I think it's really brave. I think it was really brave. And you clearly went into this knowing how controversial it would be, but you seem like a man that does not fear controversy whatsoever. So for those that are maybe have the same thought in mind that they want to make a controversial, well, quote unquote controversial film that they've had in their mind for a while, no one has done it, just like you have identified. No one has done this exact plot before. What would you say to that person who's worried about the controversy that might come from the film that they direct and produce?
People are going to talk about you whether you do it or not.
Right.
And so to me, I'm a rebel. I'm going to go for it no matter what.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I would tell them, go for it.
Right.
Because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right. That's right.
Practice makes permanent. And at the end of the day, what we need to understand is we only have one life, right? And the way I look at things in life is you have a birth date that you know of. You have a death date that you don't know of. Now, what you do in between, right, will ultimately define your life. See, I want to leave my footprint on the world. I don't want to just exist. I want to live. And I want to let the world know through film that Wilfred LaSalle came in here. He revolutionized independent filmmaking. He gave us a film to unite America on an issue that has divided them. And so I would tell that filmmaker, go for it. Go for everything you want in life, because there are no guarantees in life but death and taxes.
You sound like me talking sometimes. I always talk about, the day you die and, from the day you're born, the only thing that matters is that hash in the middle and what you do. But what's intentional here is that you have a goal, you have a focus, and you understand. But what I can hear from you and just listening to you talk, you're not the average person. You're very big into personal development. I can tell by the words you speak, the way you speak, and how you deliver, and how important has been personal development in your life, and how has it taken you from that point of where you were, as a young kid to where you are today? Because I know that when we're in school, we get taught for 12,000 hours how to be average. This is what the average person does. How did you get outside of that world and become above average?
I'm simply obsessed with being the the best version of myself. I've learned many years ago that time's going to pass no matter what you do. And so I never wanted to get to be an old man and go to the grave and say, or on my deathbed and say, I wish I would have worked harder. I wish I would have done more. I wish I would have never cared what they thought about me and actually pursued my dreams, because time is going to go by no matter if you decide to pursue your dream or not. Time is a thief and time is the enemy. A lot of people think they have an abundance of it, and you really don't, because we're never guaranteed the next hour to live, the next day. But personal development to me is being better than I was yesterday. It's not being better than any other person. When I look in the mirror, it's me versus that individual. And I had to learn that even growing up. I grew up very poor. I was homeless. I grew up in the projects. A lot of people look at me and they say, look at this guy. He's had everything handed to him. I am no stranger to hardship, no stranger. And I never feel as if I am better than anyone else. I bleed just like everyone else does. You know, it's always understanding the importance of a kind gesture and being who you needed when you were younger.
What's wild is we have a very, very similar mental thought process of what we think, and we have a very, very similar start of our life.
Wow.
And it's pretty crazy. But what I could tell you is that just hearing you talk, I really hope that our audience right now is not only the generation of our age, but it's a younger generation understanding what's possible and knowing that, you know, spending your time on the internet, spending your time here, spending your time there, and focusing on the value of other people's lives and how important other people are isn't important. And what you do day in and day out to better yourself is most important, because I really think it'll help a lot of people. And I really enjoy listening to you talk. And I also, like I said, feel a lot of me in you from the beginning to where you are now, just based on the way you think, the way you've developed, and where you've came from.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's talk about the persistence. I'm laughing because you're grouping us all in the same generation. He's much younger than you, Dan. Come on, don't lie to the goddamn audience here. Come on. Look at them grays. Nah, I was kidding. You're a beautiful man, Dan. Big D.
That's right. Medium mocha cocoa bean.
Oh, beautiful.
Shamelessly.
If anyone's looking for beard dye recommendations, this is your guy. So, Will, you talked a little bit before we started recording here about persistence, and you shocked everybody in the studio today about how persistent you were to get on a particular newscasting.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about a role that persistence has played in your life and your success and your drive, and where it has brought you today, and where would you be if you didn't have the persistence that you have?
I think a lot of my persistence is the way I grew up.
Okay.
I think I grew up the underdog. I grew up very, fighting for everything I have, basically. My mother was a single mother. My father left when I was 3. And so knowing that, it was always something embedded in me to always be better than him, to surpass him on every level. But persistence for me is my life. It's always been a battle, no matter what. But persistence breaks resistance. And getting on these news channels, when I got there, a lot of them, they're looking around. They're like, where's your PR person? And I'm like, you're looking at them. They couldn't believe that I was on Good Day New York. They couldn't believe I was live on Pix 11 or on ABC. People were texting me like, Will, how do you feel, man? How do you feel? You were just on Pix 11. You were just on this. I said, I'll tell you how I feel. I said, I left the studio. I got in my Uber. I went home. I showered and I went to work. Nothing changed other than the sense of the fact that the world got an introductory to who Wilfred LaSalle is and what I actually do. So it's important to keep the ego in check. It's also important to stay grounded, because what God gives, he can take away. Amen. It's very important. And it's important for me to always understand that yes, these opportunities I'm grateful for. Yes, I am very thankful that I was on all these news networks, but it doesn't stop there. The work still continues. I still have to send emails. I still have to work on my craft. And that's what it becomes. It becomes the obsessiveness of being the best version of yourself. A lot of people see all these wins and they're like, you were saying on social media, it's like, well, look at this guy. He's making it. Well, you don't see what I'm doing behind the scenes. You don't see what it costs me. You don't see the time away from my wife. My house is an office. I'm editing with my editor. 3-4 hours a day. I'm waking up at 4 a.m. and hit the gym. It's time management. It's how bad do you want it? And are you going to make excuses or are you going to make progress? A lot of people, I don't respect people who pretend they put the work in. and they don't actually put the work in and want all the glory for it. Like you said, Dan, that was top notch. That was head on what you said. A lot of people want this instant gratification. They look at me like, oh, look at, he made it. He did this. They don't know the story. They don't know what you're sacrificing. Like you said, people watching TV, right? And I tell people, like, if you have time to watch TV, then you don't have enough time to work on your goals. My wife and I just did our vision board. Scares the living crap out of me. We do it every December. Last year, I hit everything on my vision board. Everything. I'm big into the manifestation and the law of attraction. So we did this vision board, and I have all these different things and Lionsgate's on there. And she's looking at me like, I said, this is happening. She goes, oh, I know this is happening. Because before, she thought I was crazy when she saw me put ABC and Fox and Good Day. She's like, this guy, happened right by the end of the year. It just happened. And so it's those things. It's doing the work. It's understanding that if you want something bad enough, you got to get out there and work for it. I always tell people, like, I hate the word, you can do anything you want. Yeah, yes and no. You can do anything you want if you put the work in. You have to outwork every single body. You have to outwork yourself, number one, right? If all these people want the same things that you want, what's going to separate you? Outworking the competition.
Hey, guys, quick interruption to the show. Please don't forget to follow us and like us.
You can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Hit that like button. We appreciate the algorithm. Thanks, guys.
Love you guys.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, the thing is, most people, the people that are extraordinary and extremely successful in their craft, whatever it may be, filmmaking, business, construction, editing, media, what you find, at least what I found, maybe you could agree or disagree, is that those people are never satisfied with what they have done, and they never think that they've done enough. Even though they work a 15-hour day, they think that they should have worked an 18-hour day. When they work an 18-hour day, they think that they should have pulled an all-nighter. Those are people that end up to be successful. What do you think about that?
I agree. And also, you guys could probably relate. When I take a break or I take a couple of days off, I feel guilty for it.
Guilty.
I feel like, oh, man.
But you're still working.
You think,
right?
You're still working.
But do you think, okay, so that brings up another topic. Do you think that that's okay? Do you think it's okay to feel guilty for doing certain things? I know personally, I used to feel guilty for even going to the gym, right? And it was the only hour that I gave to myself. My business coach told me, you're absolutely out of your goddamn mind. You have to appreciate that time. You have to give you that. You earn that time. However, I felt the same way. Go on a vacation. It's like, why am I here? Have to open up the laptop, right? Crack it open, make a phone call, send a couple texts, send a couple emails, do something, or I feel like useless. Like I'm not doing my job. I'm not supporting the people that have supported me for all this time. A company of 30 plus. I feel guilty. Do you think that it's okay for people in our position to feel guilty about doing some of the things for themselves from time to time?
I think it's necessary. I think it's good to recharge. And I'm gonna be a hypocrite on this one. Yes, so I feel guilty about it, and then I'm like, okay, well, I still feel like I'm falling behind. Like if I'm not working, someone else is gonna take my spot. That's always the fear. It's like, all right, well, if I take off 2 days, then someone else is gonna outwork me. Someone's gonna get up at 3 a.m, work out, and now they have the edge. So that's my obsessiveness. And my wife is like, you're out of your mind. I'm like, yeah, I know, but you guys know this, being successful businessmen, that you have to be obsessed. You have to outwork these guys because there's another guy that's coming to take your spot. The moment you slack in anything in life, in your marriage, in raising your kid, in anything, I want to be the best at it. So that's my mentality. So I do feel guilty. I think it's necessary. But even if I'm trying to take a break, I'm somehow sending an email. My wife is like, can we just watch the show? And I'm like,
it's part of our life. It's just the way we are. It's not that we're not enjoying ourselves and enjoying our vacation or enjoying our downtime, but it's the way that we're wired. We always have to make sure that the machine's operating. It's doing what it needs to do. So let's say I go away. I just take that morning time. I wake up earlier than everybody else, get on the computer, send my emails, do what I got to do. If people got to get a hold of me, hey, send me an email. At the end of the day, I'll get back to you in the morning. Boom, boom, boom. Do what I got to do. Go to the gym, do cardio. While I'm doing cardio, answer some messages, then work out. And it's like, all right, throughout the day, if you need me, I'll check my phone at 1 o'clock and whatever, do what I got to do. But it's the way that we're wired because we just can't shut things down. And it's okay to be that way. And, I don't feel guilty about it. And I think what I talked about on previous episodes is I get my family involved in like what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and the purpose. Hey, we're here because of this. So I just need to participate for a little bit so that this can happen again. And at the same time, other people might not understand because it's the entrepreneur versus the employee mentality. And you go away with employees, can't you put your phone down? No, bro, can you get off TikTok? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like I'm doing something productive, you're not, you know, and it's just the mindset of, you know, we know that our operation cannot stop. And if we have a well-oiled machine, as long as we're dripping a little bit every day, we're still going to stay in tune. We're still going to stay in tune.
Yeah.
So that brings me to a point of where, like, I look at what you're doing, I enjoy what you're doing, and I know that you have such a high passion of it. There's so many people in this world that don't follow their passion. And I'm just, you know, so happy to have a guest like you on here, because I think you're surprising a lot of people. And even people who know you, like, I'm extremely vulnerable. Like, even though I go through a lot of shit in my life, I do express some of the good stuff. But like what I started doing over the course of the last 3 months is I just started talking about how all the shit takes you to all the good grace, you know, and all the good stuff. You have to go through all that stuff. You know, and I stopped posting like, oh, here's where I am or here's what I'm doing, because that shit's doesn't matter. And I realized that's what the world's doing. But now I post like, hey, here's the situation. Here's how you get out of the situation. And here's where your life can take you. You know, the problem, the progress, the solution is kind of the life. And most people in this world live in such an outside bubble that they don't believe what's going on. They don't, and, you know, oh, you're so lucky. You have what you have. But they don't realize what we do. I will outwork any single person I know day in and day out. And I'll say the same thing to the three of you in this room, because that's what I believe. Maybe I don't, maybe I do, but in my mind, I'm outworking the three of you all day, every day, because that's been my mentality. I've never met someone who works harder than me. I've never met someone who's smarter than me in the way I think, not the way they think, in the way I think, in the way I vision. And you talked about manifesting, and I think it's important to understand that you have to and you should believe that you've arrived before you've arrived. That's how you get there. Every single situation in my life that's ever been good for me and my family and the things that we've ever done, it's something I visioned that I deserved, that I believed I should be there. But the problem is every single time you get to that next step and that next good part of life, you're going to fight this fucking battle that beats the shit out of you the whole way that you're going there. And it's like, oh my God, you don't know what's going on. But as long as you're focused on exactly where you're going and you know what you want to do, that battle's going to get harder and harder and harder. But I just think about, you know, I always talk back about Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. You know, when the general went to Creed, he turned around and he burned the boats, and they were outnumbered. But they had no choice but to win. We're not going back until we win. They burned the boats, so we're not getting out of here. So I have the same mentality, and ever since I read that book when I was like 17 years old, like I probably read that book 4 times, is like, if you burn the boats and you just know, no matter what, there's no way out unless you win.
Yeah.
That's the cycle of life. And most people don't understand that, especially today where you feel like, you know, we live in the microwave generation where instant, I want this. Nobody wants to work for anything. You've been putting in 5-6 years in what you're doing. Plus you do other stuff outside of that. Plus you're sacrificing your family. Plus you're doing all this other stuff. And people don't understand that shit.
They don't.
You know?
They never will. And it's funny you mention that, because before I had the confidence that I had now, I didn't think I could do it. I felt like I needed everyone else's permission. I didn't think I was worthy of what I have now. And then what I realized is the harder you work, the luckier you get, because people are always quick to call you lucky, but they don't see the work behind it. And I love that, because you burn the bridges, right? You burn the boats because there's no plan B.
Yep.
It's plan A, and that's it. When people say have a backup plan, no. There's no backup plan. This is the plan. And I love that, Dan. That was really a good analogy. And it's great. I love the mentality. I love what you stand for. We do have a lot of very similarities, and I respect that. I respect both of you. I respect the grind. You said 30 employees. Mm-hmm. You guys are killing it, man. You guys are awesome.
I've been there. No, thank you. You know,
it's not fun.
It's not fun.
It's a lot of
he's in a different
egos.
industry where he has management that can help him. Yeah, I was just a contractor, you know, and I had 25 guys at most at one time running 20 plus trucks years and years ago, and it was like complete chaos.
Yeah.
You don't have any control management there. It's just like making sure that guy shows up, make sure the lumber shows up, making sure this shows up. I'm so glad I'm out of that world. But what that did was that taught me such adversity, such challenges, how to overcome challenges, how to make myself better, how to manage the bad things and the good things, and how to really understand people.
Yeah.
You know, and it took me from that place when I was 17 and I started my own business because I wanted to be rich. All I ever wanted to be was rich. But then I realized rich isn't money.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
I had tons of money when I was young. I lost tons of money every single year of my life. I lose money every single year of my life. I make money. But at the end of the day, rich is all about what you have when you wake up. When you wake up, what is there? If all the money was gone, what is left? What do you have? Who's in front of you? Who's around you? That's what rich is. And what can you provide for those people as far as value versus money? And I try to teach my kids that, like, money is secondary. If you bring value to the marketplace, if you're a good person, if you do good, you help people, you deliver in every single way. You know, that's why I'm so big on this podcast, my podcast, and all the videos I put out is because I'm not looking for money. I'm looking, if I put out 52 podcasts a year, 52 weeks, one every week, and I help one person, and I've shot an episode and I launched it this morning, if I help one person every single episode, that's 52 people a year I've helped. I probably won't even know because only 5 of them will reach out.
Right.
But I've helped change the lives of 52 people. I've done my job. And the law of reciprocation is that God will always do for you tenfold of what you do for other people and what you bring to the market. So if you're always going to deliver in good, you're always going to get back in good. And that's just the way I live.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's funny you mentioned that, just to touch on that. People will forget what you look like. They'll forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Exactly.
Big on that.
Exactly.
Right. It seems like you have something very similar. You know, we try to impact at least 52 people a year. I mean, that's more than most of the population can say. And most times they're influenced in a negative way, right? We talked about earlier, the influencers online. Everyone wants to be an influencer, and they're flying on, you know, private jets, but we know they're rented, right?
Yeah.
We know it's all falsified. It's all for the clout. It's all for the gram. But besides that, you know, I think another similarity I've seen between you two is, you know, one of the things you said in the very beginning, and you said during your onboarding, your intake form rather, was that you're doing this to bring light to, you know, actors who have never been on screen before, right? Giving them a chance. It's almost like their Indeed post, right? Their resume. Why did you choose to do that? Like, you know, putting people first. Where did that come from?
Came from my upbringing. My mother's Puerto Rican, and we grew up very
Mine too.
Traditional. Yeah, very traditional. So most of my cast, 85% of my cast are African American and Latino. Now, when you look at that, right, from a whole different standpoint, it's who's giving them these opportunities. I have actors that travel all the way down from LA, Pennsylvania, and when you have them dedicating their time, their money, traveling, that's very important to people. And so I have a certain duty and an obligation to make these films as great as I possibly can. So I wanted to be the first to do that, to give them those opportunities, to be on platforms like Tubi, Peacock, Amazon Prime, not be a background actor. When I have some of the best actors that yet to be discovered. They are amazing. When you see James B. Randolph, the guy who played the main character who plays Omari Russell in Security Guard, amazing actor. Amazing. Just, he needs to be discovered.
He looks great in the clips.
You know, Mackenzie Rain D'Angelo, which is the daughter. These are the actors that no one knows about because they're not on Stars or Power or all these shows. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to break that boundary, that ceiling. So that's what it was. It was giving the underdog an opportunity because I was once an underdog.
You're a hope dealer, man. You're pouring hope into all these people who didn't have it, and you're bringing them to light. And I'm telling you, this is going to impact your life. It's going to impact your world. It's going to impact the people you touch. And, you know, everything that you're doing here is amazing. So, I mean, it was awesome having you here on the show.
Yeah, it's been a blessing, brother.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you,
excited.
Thank you
Really
for
excited for your new movie. Where could they find the movie when it comes out? Shout out some of the actors.
So the film is going to be on Tubi, Amazon Prime, Apple TV. We're working with NBC now to get it on Peacock because they own Peacock. And we're working with the content acquisitions team to make sure we get exclusivity to the platform. Now, if I'm going to shout out the actors, I want to shout out my manager, Rob D'Angelo, who is my Scottie Pippen to the Salle Productions, James B. Randolph, Mackenzie Rain D'Angelo, Yanko Valentin Perez, Tara Beavers, Kyle Bland, the list goes on and on. These are the actors that dedicate everything to me. And I want to make sure that they know how much I love and respect the work that they put in because people think acting is easy. It's not. These are the ones who are putting in the work day in and day out. You know, and I wanted to thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to share my story on your podcast.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on my official website, which is lasalleproductions.com. You can even Google me. I'll come up as a public figure. All my articles, everything. My socials, LaSalle Productions, LaSalle, or underscores. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I'm on every social, LinkedIn. Yeah.
Awesome. It was awesome to have you as a guest
Thank you,
here.
man.
It was a
Thank you
great
for having me.
episode. Hey, guys, if you're not following us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music, make sure you go do so. This is going to be an awesome episode. And thank you for tuning in. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Awesome.
Great job. Thank you, man. You got